It's Christmas Eve in snowy 1800s, London, England, and in a small house at the edge of town there lived a lonely 7-year-old boy named Isaac. Isaac was a sad child with not a friend to his name. While most children were spending time with their families and eagerly looking forward to opening the presents that were placed with care beneath a beautifully decorated Christmas tree, little Isaac spent this most holy of nights alone in his cold, dusty attic room. Isaac's parents were very poor. His mother was a strict crow of a woman who stayed at home and schooled Isaac. His father worked long hours down at the London harbour to support his family, although a large portion of his earnings went towards purchasing and consuming copious amounts of alcohol at the end of his shift. Sometimes he would come home drunk after being thrown out of every bar in London and shout at his beloved wife. Isaac's mother occasionally would escalate to violence and he would beat savagely, and then when he was done he'd force himself on in a drunken sexual rage. As it so happens, this particular night was one of those occasions. Isaac just remained quiet, quivering beneath his soiled bed sheets until the screams and loud bangs subsided. Once poor frightened Isaac was finally able to fall asleep, he'd dream of what it would be like to have friends to play with, so maybe he could laugh and be happy like the other children of London. Luckily for little Isaac, this Christmas Eve marked a big change when his abysmal loneliness caught the attention of a guardian angel, who then crafted a very special gift for the sad little London boy. As the sun rose on the Christmas morning, Isaac opened his eyes to find a strange wooden box sitting at the foot of his bed, with eyes widened in awe. He stared at the colourful handcrafted, wondering who had left him. He was not used to receiving gifts, especially toys. What little toys Isaac did have were ones he'd found abandoned in the street or washed up in gutters. Isaac scooched up the foot of his bed in front of the mysterious box and picked it up with both hands. The box was beautifully painted in colourful styles, with cravings of happy clown faces on the side. There was a tag on the box that simply read, "For Isaac." On the top of the box was an engraved text. Isaac squinted in his eyes as he sounded out the words, "Laughing Jack" in a box. He paused. Laughing Jack in a box. Isaac had heard of a Jack in a box, but never a laughing Jack in a box. His mind spun with curiosity as he grasped the box, his metal crank. Isaac turned the crank and the song, "Pop Goes the Weasel," chimed in the rhythm with the crank's durations. As the song came to its climax, Isaac sang along with the first verse. Pop goes the weasel, but nothing happened. Isaac let out a sigh. It's broken. He placed the box back down on the edge of the bed and shuffled across a small dusty room to his dresser, where he changed out of his soiled sleepwear and into his usual tattered clothes. Suddenly Isaac heard a loud rattling noise coming from the bed. Behind him, he spun round to witness the wooden box violently shaking. Then, without warning, the top of the box swung open and a parade of colourful smoke and confetti billowed out. Isaac rubbed his eyes in disbelief of what he was seeing. As the smoke cleared, there stood a tall, thin, multicoloured clown man with bright red hair, swirly rainbow-coloured cone nose and feathery shoulders that sat atop his raggedy and colourful clown outfit. The Technicolor clown spread his arms and excitedly announced, "Come on, come on, come on, whether big or small, to see the best clown of them all. The one, the only, the laughing Jack in a box." Isaac's eyes lit up. Who are you?" he asked. The colourful carney stepped down off the bed with a happy grin and said, "I'm glad you asked. I am Laughing Jack, your new friend for life. I'm magical. I never get tired of playing. I'm a whiz at the accordion, and I adapt and develop with your own changing personality. In other words, whatever you like, I like." Isaac looked up the mysterious clown man. We're friends?" he stuttered. Jack looked at the boy while cocking an eyebrow. "Friends? We're best friends. I was specially created to be your not-so-imaginary friend, Isaac." Isaac's jaw dropped. "You know my name?" Jack let out a whimsical laugh. "Of course I know your name. Of course I know your name. I know everything about you. So now that the introductions are out of the way, how would you like to play a game of I Spy?" Isaac grinned from ear to ear. Really we can play games? I'd love to." He paused. I can't. I have to go downstairs to see mother from homeschooling and chores. Open the door out of his bed. Wait. However, believe what he persuaded. And behold, Laughing Jack. "Yes, of course I know your name." So the introduction. Really, I'd love to. Homeschooling and chores. His smile faded into a look of disappointment. Jack placed his hand on Isaac's shoulder and with a warm smile said, It's okay, I'll be waiting right here for you. When you get back." Isaac's smile returned as he looked up at his new friend. Just when he heard his mother's shrill voice calling him from downstairs. "Well, I gotta go. I'll see you after I'm done, okay, Jack?" he asked as he headed towards the room. Jack smiled. "Absolutely, kiddo." "Oh, and Isaac." Isaac looked back at Jack, who gave him a wink and said, "You should wear that smile more often. It suits you." Isaac grinned happily as he turned and walked out the door. All day, Isaac told his mother about the amazing colourful clown man who came out of a magical box that appeared on the foot of his bed. His mother, however, did not believe a word of it. Finally persuaded his mother to follow him up to his room so she could behold Laughing Jack for herself. They walked up the stairs and Isaac swung open the door to his rooms. "See, Mother? He's right here." Isaac paused as he scanned the room and that contained neither magical dancing clown man nor mysterious wooden box. Isaac's mother was not amused. She gave Isaac a glare so menacing it made his knees weak and his stomach sick. But Mother, he was smack. Isaac's mother delivered onto him a swift, hard smack across his face. His eyes began to tear up and his lips began to quiver as he could feel himself about to break down. "You stupid, isolated child, how dare you lie to me about such childish idiocy? Who would want to be friends with a useless worm such as you? You shall remain in your room for the rest of the evening and shall receive no dinner. Now what do you say, you ungrateful wretch?" Isaac managed to swallow the knot in his throat. in order mutter a reply. In order to mutter a reply. Thank you. His mother glared at him for a moment before leaving the room in disgust. Isaac kneeled over, but burying his face in the side of his bed. Streams of tears ran down his cheeks as he began to weep. What's wrong, kiddo? A voice called out. Isaac looked over to the edge of the bed where Laughing Jack was now, suddenly sitting beside him. Where were you? Isaac murmured. Jack ran his hand through Isaac's hair to comfort him, as he softly replied, I was hiding. I can't let your parents see me, otherwise they won't let us play anymore. Isaac wiped the tears from his eyes. Look, kiddo, I'm sorry I had to hide, but I'll make it up to you. Tonight we can play games and have tons of fun. Jack said, smiling. Isaac looked up at his vibrant pal and slightly nodded as a little smile began to form in the corners of his mouth. That night, Laughing Jack and Isaac played so many fun games. With a wave of his hand, Jack made all of Isaac's tin soldiers spring to life and march around the room. Isaac was amazed as he watched his toys move around the room on their own. Then Laughing Jack and Isaac told each other spooky ghost stories. Isaac asked Jack if he was a ghost, but Jack explained that he's more of a cosmic entity of some sort. At the end of the night, Jack reached into his pocket and pulled out an assortment of delicious candy. Isaac was in ecstasy when he popped the first colourful treat in his mouth, as it was the first time tasting something so sweet. Isaac had so much fun and laughed so hard that night that things seemed to be finally looking up for Isaac, at least until the incident that occurred 3 months later. It was pleasantly warm and sunny in London that day, which was a bit of a rarity, so with the help of a certain not-so-imaginary friend, Isaac was able to finish his chores early and was allowed to go outside, play for a bit. Things started enough. The duo were back behind the house playing pirates when Isaac spotted the neighbour's cat sneaking into the garden. Yarg, we got an enemy spy of the starboard bow, Isaac yelled, captivated by fantasy and imagination. Yo ho! I'll get me Captain Isaac, exclaimed his first mate Jack, in the best hearty pirate accent. Laughing Jack's arms stretched out across the garden and snatched the unsuspecting feline, who began to struggle quite vigorously. Don't let him get away, Jackie, or I'll make you walk the plank, Isaac antagonized. Jack's grip on the cat tightened and his arms grew, extended like anacondas, wrapping themselves around the woolly feline. As it struggles for dear life, Jack's arms just kept squeezing the animal, pressing the air out of its lungs. As the once dear house pet's eyes began to bulge out of their sockets, there came a loud snap. Jack quickly released the creature from its grasp as its lifeless furry husk thudded against the ground. There was a hushed silence as the two observed the cat's now twisted and mangled corpse. The silence was finally broken by the unroaring laughter coming from Isaac. Ha 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 ha! Wow! I guess cats don't have 9 lives. Ha 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 ha, Isaac exclaimed, nearly teary-eyed from laughter. Laughing Jack began to chuckle as well. Heh heh. Yeah, but won't you get in trouble if your mother finds your neighbour's cat dead in the garden? Isaac's laughter quickly subsided. No, you're right, I'll just throw it back into the neighbour's yard. Isaac panicked as he grabbed a nearby shovel and scooped up the broken cat cadaver before lobbing it over the fence, back into the neighbour's yard. They quickly went back inside and up into Isaac's room. About an hour later it came, the ear-piercing squawk of Isaac's mother shrieking his name from downstairs. Neither Jack nor Isaac said a word. As he crept down the stairs alone to face whatever horrible fate was coming to him. Jack could hear much yelling from downstairs, but couldn't make out what was being said. After about 30 minutes, a teary-eyed Isaac ascended the stairs back up into the room. Well, Jack asked nervously. Isaac just stared at the ground as he spoke. I tried to tell her it was you who hurt the cat. She didn't believe me. Said you weren't real. Jack frowned, knowing this was all his fault. Isaac used his sleeve to wipe away his tears. I'm being sent off to boarding school. I'm leaving tonight and you can't come with me. Laughing Jack's face turned sharp. What? I can't come. Where will I go? Isaac said nothing but pointed out at the beautiful coloured box from where his friend had originated. Back in there. But I won't be able to get out until... Jack paused. Isaac looked up as his only friend with tears streaming down his face. Jack, I promise I'll come back for you. As soon as I can. Jack looked at the box and back at Isaac. And I'll be right. And I'll be right here, waiting for you, kiddo. Jack smiled as a single tear ran down his cheek. He walked over to the box with a puff of smoke, sucked back in, unable to be free until once again open. That night, Isaac was set off to boarding school. The first time Laughing Jack felt that it was what it was like to be lonely, even when trapped in his box. Jack was able to see the things going on around it. So each day he waited for his friend to return, and each day the room grew older and dustier. Laughing Jack's one purpose was to be Isaac's best friend for life, and now he waits a day after day, month after month to reunite with his special friend. Isaac's parents still lived in the house, but never came to the upstairs room. The only time they made their presence known was when Jack would hear them fighting. Still, Jack's life became one of solitude, loneliness and disappointment. As years went by, Jack's once black, bright, vibrant colours began to fade into monochrome blur of pitch black, void and stark white emptiness, trapped all alone and internal and hopeless. 13 years passed until the night Isaac's father came home particularly drunk and got into an argument with his wife as per usual. Things escalated to physical violence once again. However, this time she didn't get back up. Isaac's father had beaten his wife to death, to a dead bloody pulp, and was sentenced to hang at the gallows the next day, with both his parents dead. This meant that the now 20-year-old Isaac inherited the dusty old house he spent the earlier half of his childhood in. Laughing Jack was quite surprised when when he heard his old friend's footsteps walking up the stairs to the attic room for the first time in 13 years. However, it was not the reunion Jack had hoped for. Isaac had eagerly waited, releasing him from prison. He had waited so many years. 13 years. However, the Jack had hoped for looked different, but not only was he older, but he also seemed to possess this odd, grim look on his face. No longer was he the hopeful and curious young boy Jack first met all those years ago. Jack eagerly awaited Isaac's releasing him from the prison he had waited in for so many years. But still Jack's box sat there untouched and unnoticed. On a shelf in the corner of the room, with all the other dusty and wanted knickknacks, Isaac had completely forgotten about his old friend. Dismissed as some sort of early childhood fabrication. Surprisingly, this made Laughing Jack feel nothing. He was hollow. 13 years of waiting and disappointment left a monochrome clown void sorrow and self-pity. Jack remained in his box, colourless and without emotion. The next day, Isaac went off to work at his job as an upholsterer, doing furniture repairs for the good people of London. Jack waited in captivity. Hours later, a drunk Isaac returned home and stumbled up the stairs to his room, but this time he had a friend with him. It was a lady friend Isaac had picked up at the bar earlier that evening. She was beautiful, with following blonde hair, sapphire blue eyes, and a smile that could make hearts melt. Laughing Jack's attention was drawn to Isaac's guest. Who is this? A new friend? Why does Isaac need new friends? I thought I was Isaac's only friend. Jack thought to him from within his hellish confinement. Isaac and his lady friend sat down on the bed and chatted about life in London. Isaac made a joke about the weather and they both laughed. Laughing Jack hissed with envy over Isaac's new friend. Isaac and the girl looked deeply into each other's eyes as they leaned in for a kiss, locking lips with passionate swirling of tongues in one another's mouth. Jack was perplexed by the strange display of affection, for he had never seen kissing before. As the kissing grew more intense, Isaac ran his hand along the girl's smooth thigh and up her dress. However, his guest just brushed his hand away. Isaac was persistent through. Once again ran his hand along her smooth thigh and up her skirt, the time placing his hand upon her silky undergarments. The woman took great displeasure with Isaac's sexual advances, pushed Isaac away before delivering a hard smack across his face. Isaac's eyes darkened as he glared at the woman. His once drunken passion turned into booze-fueled anger. The woman's heart sped up as she saw Isaac's face boil with rage. Stupid whore, as Isaac yelled as he smashed his fist into the girl's face, and then Laughing Jack's eyes widened as he witnessed a long streak of red liquid gushing from the girl's nose. Well, what game is this? He thought, his eyes aversion to such violent sights. Isaac firmly clenched the girl's wrist with one hand as he tore her panties off with the other. The terrified girl tried to fight back, but Isaac was overpowering her. He roughly fondled her breast before he savagely grabbed her hair and forcing his tongue down the sobbing young woman's throat, who responded by chomping down as hard as she could on Isaac's tongue. Jack watched with wide and curious eyes. As his old friend released his new playmate and clenched his mouth as it filled with the warm red blood. The frightened girl fell off the bed and dropped down on the floor as she scurried towards the exit. Isaac quickly lurched forward and was able to catch his fleeing plaything by the end of the dress. Reaching back, he wielded a lead of candlestick off the nightstand beside him. And with all of his might bashed in the back of the young woman's head. Which burst open like a ripe watermelon. Thick blood splattered across the room as the girl's body convulsed on the ground for several seconds before going completely still. Blood was everywhere. Some droplets even managed to get on Laughing Jack's box, who was very much enjoying the show. For the first time in 13 long years, a smile began to creep across Laughing Jack's face, and all of a sudden a chuckle escaped his cold lips. Then another, until Jack was cackling and howling with laughter. From inside his sealed box, what a wonderful, fascinating game, Jack thought as he watched the motionless girl's golden blonde hair flow red with blood. As the adrenaline began to mellow, Isaac realized he had to dispose of the body. He picked up the girl's lifeless corpse and plopped it on the bed. He then left the room, closing the door behind him and locking it. Before leaving the house, he returned almost a full day later and re-entered the room, bringing with him a metal garbage can and a bag of unholstery tools from his work. He then cleared everything off the wooden desk on the wall opposite to the door and then dragged the bed, his bloody corpse in the middle of the room. This not only gave Isaac room to work, but it also gave Laughing Jack a front row seat to the whole spectacle. Jack watched with a big and fading grin as Isaac played his new games with a soiled corpse. Once Isaac was all set up, he got to work. First, he dumped out the contents of his big black tool bag onto a work table behind him. An assortment of knives, hammers, pliers and other tools was now laid out before him. His first pick was curved upholstery knives, which he used to carefully skin the body. That skin was then placed on racks to be stretched and turned into leather. Once that was put in place, Isaac then used a handsaw to saw off the arms, legs and head, disturbing the home from several families of maggots in the process. After filling the garbage can with bleach and other vile chemicals, he submerged the limbs until the meat stripped from the bones. Isaac fished the bones out of the soapy corpse juice and placed them on the work table. Then in the cover of night, he brought the trash can outside and dumped the rotten, decomposing remains into the London sewers to be swept away into the harbour, and that would make a massive pool of blood. For the next 3 days, Laughing Jack watched with wonderment as the inspired Isaac crafted the one human anatomy into a grotesque armchair abomination. The femur was made into the back legs of a chair. It was certainly a monstrosity, while the tibia with the feet still attached, of course, was made into the front chair legs. A wooden frame was used for the base and backing of the chair. However, the rim of the backing was crafted using a spinal column. The arm bones were used as the arms of the chair and were fastened in place by some ribs. The now leathery flesh was sewn onto the seat and backing of the chair, and the golden Blonde hair was braided into the lining of the base. Atop this armchair from hell sat the skull that once belonged to the girl, with golden blonde hair, the sapphire eyes, and the smile that could melt hearts. Isaac was quite pleased with his work, and Laughing Jack too was impressed by his old playmate's profound creativity. After that night, Isaac never touched another drop of alcohol again, for he now possessed a much more macabre taste. He possessed a much more macabre thirst. In the following weeks, Isaac made several improvements to his little workshop of horrors. Texas chains. He removed the mattress from the bed, put a row of thick wooden planks in its place, and then he fastened arms and legs restraints to the bottom of the sides. This would mean he would be able to entertain his guests for long periods of time without them trying any rude escape attempts. Isaac needed only one final thing before planning another grotesque party. He worked on it for a week straight, hand carving it out of wood after a coat of white paint was applied. Isaac's creation was complete. It was a wooden mass resembling something one would wear at a Venetian masquerade ball. It had a furrowed brow and a long troll-like nose, and would allow him to strike fear in the hearts of his beloved guests. With his new face complete and the room transformed into a bloody murder nest, it was finally time for Isaac Lee Grossman to bring home a playmate. That following night, Laughing Jack watched as the master Isaac Grossman stopped up the stairs, carrying with him a large burlap sack. With his newest guest writhing within, he dumped the bag out on his torture bed, and out plopped a bound, gagged, and very frightened young boy, probably only 5 or 6 years old. Isaac quickly undid the boy's binding and held him down as he restrained his hands and feet to the steel bed frame. Tears streamed endlessly down the boy's helpless little face as Isaac laid out his tools on the workbench. Isaac returned wielding a pair of rusty pliers, and wasting no time, he slid the bottom of the jaw of the pliers under the boy's fingernails on his right index finger and clamped it tightly. The child's eyes quivered as he began muttering for his gag, begging Isaac to let him go. Isaac smirked as he slowly bent the pliers backwards, painfully prying off the first fingernail. The boy screamed through his gags as he withered in agony on the wooden boards, his finger beginning to gush with blood. Isaac then moved on to the boy's his gag as he withered in agony in wooden as he agony on the wooden boards, his finger began to gush with blood. Isaac then moved on to the boy's middle finger, firmly grasping the nails with the rusty pliers. Once again he jerked the pliers back, but this time the nail only tore off halfway. The boy yelped in pain as his finger twitched and shot with blood. Clamping the half pried of nail, Isaac gave it to another yank. The nail tore off, but not without taking a good deal of skin tissue with it. Even Isaac was a bit rebuffed by this painful sight. Unlike the spine, Laughing Jack was cackling with joy at the disturbing action as he watched from within his old dusty box. Isaac returned to the workbench and swapped the pliers for large iron hammers. He then made his way to the foot of the torture bed, where with one hand he held down the boy's left leg. He raised the hammer high above his head as the boy cried and pleaded for mercy through his dirty gag. Then with all his might, Isaac slammed the hammer down on the boy's bare kneecap, shattering the bone into gravel. With a loud crack, the boy convulsed in pain and shrill screams, muffling through the cloth gag tied tightly to his face. As the child struggled with intense pain, Isaac placed a hammer down on the wooden bed and returned once more to the workbench, where he equipped himself with a long, sharp knife. Without delay, he began carving the words "useless worm" into the child's quivering chest. When he finally finished, the boy was barely conscious. Isaac knelt down and whispered into the boy's ear, This what happens to rotten children who make nasty faces at people." The child's eyes filled with tears one final time as Isaac began to carve the skin off the boy's face, but to Isaac's surprise, the boy still clung to life. The mutilated child just stared up at Isaac with his big round eyes, which filled Isaac's black heart with rage and hatred. Even without a face, you're still an ugly little shit," Isaac shouted as he picked up the hammer from the foot of the bed and began to bash the poor boy's skull in. He smashed it over and over until it was nothing but a bloody caved-in mass full of flesh, pouring with thick red blood and oozing out chunks of brain matter. From across the room, Laughing Jack gleefully observed the grand finale, which had lived up to his expectations quite wonderfully. Isaac's next guest was a blind woman whom he had invited over for some tea. It took her almost 5 minutes to realise the chair was sitting on was crafted using human remains, and another 6 minutes to find the stairs only to topple down. Then flailing and screaming like a loon, Isaac decided to end the cruel joke with a simple ice pick through her eye sockets. After that, he brought over a little girl whom he force-fed broken glass before using her stomach as a punching bag. As the weeks went by, more and more unlucky souls met their end in Isaac's Grossman's attics, and as the mad Grossman's personality became more dark and sadistic and macho, he found gratification through this disgusting act. Laughing Jack's personality following suit while he rotted within his dusty box until one very cold December night, the rusty nails that were holding up the shelf of forgotten knickknacks finally gave way, and the whole thing plummeted to the ground. Isaac heard the loud thud from downstairs and decided to climb up to the attic to investigate. He walked across the blood-stained wood floor of the attic over toward the fallen shelf. Isaac brushed aside some of the trinkets that broke in the crash. When he finally came across the jack-in-the-box from his childhood, Isaac barely recognized the old tattered box. As he picked it up and blew off some dust, then, for some nostalgic reason, he decided to grasp the box's rusty clank and began turning it. A horribly off-key Pop Goes the Weasel clank from the worn-out old box, and as it reached its climax, Isaac swung along with the final verse. Pop goes the weasel. The top of the box swung open, but nothing happened. It was empty. Isaac expected as much as he tossed the old box in the garbage with the other broken knickknacks. After the mess was cleared up, he went to open the door to go back downstairs, but it was stuck. Isaac pulled hard, but the door wouldn't budge. Just then he heard the most horrible raspy voice called out from behind him. Isaac! A cold jolt ran down Isaac's spine, and the hairs on the back of his neck stood straight up as he slowly turned around. All the way across the room by the garbage can stood the nightmarish Laughing Jack. He was completely monochrome. His mangled black hair hung down in twisted locks. Sharp, jagged teeth decorated his twisted grin, and his arm hung low like a rag doll, with his grotesquely long fingers nearly scraping the floor. Then with a bone-chilling, raspy voice, Fiendish Clown spoke. How nice it is to finally be free. Did you miss me, Isaac? Isaac was paralyzed in fear. But I thought you weren't real. Imaginary. Isaac stuttered. Jack replied with a long, horrifying cackle. Ha 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 ha. Oh, I'm quite real, kiddo. In fact, I've been waiting such a long time for this day to finally come, when I can play with my best friend for life one last time. Before Isaac could reply, Jack's long arms stretched across the room and wrapped around Isaac's legs. The twisted clown began pulling him closer, dragging him onto his own wooden torture bed as Isaac's fingernails scraped along the floor, ignoring the restraints. Jack swiftly grabbed 4-inch long iron nails from the wooden bench and pressed them grabbed 4-inch long iron nails from the bench and pressed them straight through Isaac's hands and feet, nailing him to the wooden torture bed as Isaac growled in pain as he shouted at the captor. Fuck you, goddamn clown-nosed freak. Laughing Jack just chuckled as he forcefully held Isaac's head in place, stating, If you can't say something nice, then don't say anything at all. Jack reached his long, crooked fingers into Isaac's mouth, firmly grasping his tongue, and stretched it out as far as it could go. The clown then reached back and grabbed a long, sharp knife from the table and slowly began to slice through the meat of Isaac's tongue. Once lobbed off, Isaac's mouth began to overflow with blood. Jack responded by shoving a small cylindrical metal tube through Isaac's throat to act as a temporal breathing hole. At this point, Isaac was already in great pain and had his eyes clenched shut. To avoid seeing the sickening horror that were being performed upon his body. Come on, it's no fun if you don't watch, Laughing Jack said playfully, but Isaac kept his eyes tightly shut. Laughing Jack sighed. Shoot yourself. Jack then forcibly held out one of Isaac's eyes. He reached back with his big arm and took out some long, pointy fish hooks from the workbench. Slowly, Jack pushed the sharp end of the hook through the top eyelid, straight through in the bottom of the eyebrow and out the top. Permanently pinning it open. Then he took out a second hook, pushing it through the bottom eyelid and pinning it into the cheek. Jack repeated the process into the other eye, and before long, a series of sharp metal hooks made sure Isaac didn't miss out on any of the action. Laughing Jack then took the same knife he had used to lob off Isaac's tongue and began to focus on the removal of Isaac's lips. Jack carefully sliced 2 long strips of flesh off. Sliced strips and lower mouthful flesh off lips. Carefully sliced 2 strips of flesh off of Isaac's upper lower mouth, causing his teeth and gums to be completely exposed. Looks like someone hasn't been flossing regularly. Laughing Jack cackled under his breath as he reached back and as he reached back. As Isaac groaned and grabbed the hammer, Isaac attempted to mutter some only gargled moan escape and raised the hammer into air with it. Isaac groaned with a sharp stinging. Laughing Jack cackled under his breath. Man to focus on the removal, Jack claimed carefully sliced 2 long strips of flesh off Isaac's upper lower mouth, causing his teeth and gums to be completely exposed. Looks like someone has a meat floss. Jack cackled under his breath and he reached back and grabbed the hammer. Isaac attempted to mutter some kind of beg for mercy. However, only gurgled moans escaped his throat. Jack raised the hammer into the air and with a twisted grin he slammed it down, giving off a loud crack as the iron hammer shattered Isaac's teeth like brittle clay. Jack dropped the hammer and began to howl with laughter as he tore open Isaac's shirt, taking the sharpest knife. Jack cut straight down Isaac's chest, all the way down past the stomach. Isaac groaned with sharp stinging pain as the monochrome monster wormed his wrenched fingernails under the skin on Isaac's chest, peeling it back as he was about to perform his horrible live autopsy. First, Jack began to pull out Isaac's intestines in the same manner a magician would pull a series of colourful cloths out of his pocket. Then, after snipping off a small length of intestine, Jack pressed one end against his cold black lips and began blowing air into the foul organ. Once inflated, he twisted it up into the shape of a poodle and with a loud chuckle exclaimed, I can do giraffes too. Isaac remained still in pain and shock as the clown creature gently placed the macabre balloon animal beside Isaac's head. Isaac's head. Some manner, magician. First, Jack began to pull up Isaac in some manner. Black lips blowing air into foul organ. Once inflated, he twisted up into the shape. First, Jack began to pull out Isaac. Same man. After snipping off small lengths of intestines, Jack pressed one end against his cold black lips and began blowing air into the full organ. Once inflated, he twisted it up into the shape of a poodle. Loud chuckle exclaimed, I could do giraffes too. Isaac remained still in pain and shock as the clown creature gently placed the macabre balloon animal before Isaac's head for his next trick. Laughing Jack reached deep into Isaac's open stomach cavity and yanked out one of his kidneys, holding it in his hand. Jack turned to his captive friend and shrugged, stating that kidneys really aren't my thing. Kidneys aren't really my thing, tossing the organ aside. Laughing Jack noticed that Isaac was beginning to drift into death. Feeling tired already? Why, we're nearly at the grand finale. Laughing Jack exclaimed as he reached into his sleeve, pulled out a long adrenaline needle. This ought to perk you right up, Jack shouted as he slammed the needle into Isaac's retina and injected the liquid into his right eye socket. Jack wiggled and twisted the needle further into his old playmate's eyeball. As Isaac was reeled back into life, when Isaac was reeled back into life to the feeling of the sharp needle scraping the back of his eye socket. With a sinister chuckle, Jack yanked the needle out, pulling the eyeball out with it. Isaac's right eye now hung out of his socket by the eye stalk as it dribbled down the side of his face. Jack smirked. "Well, now that I have your full attention." The insidious clown then took his long, crooked index finger and poked a hole in Isaac's stomach. Jack lowered his head down towards the open chest cavity and stretched his mouth open wide. Within seconds, a torrent of filthy cockroaches started crawling out of the clown's gullet and spilling onto Isaac's open chest. Each vile roach crawled and pushed its way into the small opening in Isaac's stomach, filling it from within full of disgusting, writhing bugs. As his stomach became bloated with bugs, the roaches began to scurry up his throat, squeezing their way out of his mouth and nasal cavity. Isaac was inches away from death. Isaac was inches away from death. Isaac said the spread. Crawled and pushed its way in, smalling, screwing up his throat, squeezing away. Isaac was inches away when his captain kneeled beside him and spoke into his ear. "It's been a blast, kiddo, but it looks like our time together is about up. No need for tears, though, because I plan to spread my friendship to all the lonely kids of the world." And with that said, Laughing Jack reached into Isaac's chest and yanked out his still beating heart. As life bled out on the cold wooden bed, Isaac's life flashed before his eyes. He saw his mother, his father, the boarding school, his victims, and the last thought that fluttered through his mind was of the very special Christmas where he woke up to find the beautifully handcrafted wooden box that contained his very first friends. There are rumours that when the police finally found Isaac Grossman's rotten, maggot-infested corpse weeks later on Christmas Eve, that even though his face had been bashed and torn to bits, he almost looked happy. And also, it was said that the father said that everyone would die.